Another week, another Skoda gun to talk about. This time we are looking at the not that well-known little brother of the 305mm Mörser, the 21cm or 210mm Mörser. The requirement, or more of a request from the army, was to create something with the similar capability of the well-performing 305mm Howitzer, but in a smaller version, so it could be transported in a single load instead of a multi-trailer car train. This was required as in 1914-1915 the front line was moving back and forth fairly often, so setting up a siege artillery on a short notice was a decisive factor in a battle. And regardless how effective the 305mm was, it took almost a day to bring it into a condition of firing once it was transported to the required location. I would like to emphasize on the transporting part here. In the early decades of the century, paved roads outside the cities were not that common, and most of the long-range transport happened over the railway network. However, the front line did not usually follow the railway, so dragging through a 20-30 tons 3-trailer car train through mud and dirt for miles was not an easy or a quick job. To tackle this, a 21cm Mörser M16 heavy howitzer was built to be used by the Austro-Hungarian army during the First World War, built by Skoda Works in Pilsen. The design began in 1915 for a wheeled howitzer that could be towed in a single load by a tractor as per the request of the leadership of the army. The first prototype was not up to the requested specs, and it was too heavy and traversing was difficult due to the high limber bar pressure. Skoda got back to the drawing board and redesigned the trailer and the mount. A few years later, the second howitzer was delivered in mid-1917, however, this broke down into two loads for transport. This at least solved the traversing problem of the first weapon, as reported by the 11th Army, whom was doing the testing, but as it had two trailers instead of one, the mobility of the howitzer paid the price. In the meantime, the third prototype had been ordered. This was the M18 with a carriage based on the one used for the Skoda 305mm model 1911. This would allow full traverse, but due to this, more time needed to set up the firing platform. This version broke down into 3 loads for transport, so at the end it was almost the same as the 305mm but with less destructive power. As the manufacturing of this howitzer was time-consuming, no M18s were delivered by the end of the war. In the mid-war period, Skoda built modified versions as the M18/19 for the newly independent Czechoslovakian army, where they were known as the 21cm Moždíř VZ-18. After the occupation of Czechoslovakia in 1939, the Germans adopted them under the names of 21cm Mörser 18/19T or Kurze 21cm Mörser T, and used around 15 of them on coastal defense duties in Norway. Some of them survived the war, one in Norway and one in the National Military Museum in Bucharest. An establishment I managed to visit a month ago and completely missed the fact that they closed the external part for refurbishment, so this is the only video I managed to take. You might recognize this gun from one of my earlier videos, and if you did, leave a comment. And thank you for joining for this video. If you got this far, you might want to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss out on my future videos. Bye!